Folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, it is starting to drizzle out. I don't know that we're going to get a whole lot of rain out of this. Be nice at least if it kind of knocks the dust down off of these gravel roads. Anything other than that would be, if it's more than that, we'll take it. A lot of stuff is happening very, very rapidly in the Middle East today. And I know that on the surface, it appears as if this is unrelated to us. And it's possible that that is, but there's a gnawing in my gut that tells me that that's not the case. So the United States has been attacking targets, ISIS targets in Syria. Last I heard, 75 different targets have been bombed. Israel has also been attacking targets in Syria. They've been bombing in Damascus, and they have taken over several kilometers of land into Syria, claiming it's like their new buffer zone. It's theirs now. Israel is saying that this is a great opportunity for Israel because, this old regime is gone and maybe they can take over more land. Joe Biden is saying the same thing, that this is a great deal for the United States, a great opportunity. And in fact, he said that we're going to be sending over money now to Syria. That's right. We're going to be sending humanitarian aid. We're going to help them rebuild this new regime. It's interesting. He spoke just a few hours after it was announced that Syria had fallen and that the old regime was over. It came out publicly on news, on the TV, speaking of this. And it makes me think of the whole time that Joe Biden's been in power, if that's what you call it. How many times has he, with, let's say, less than 12 hours of a major event, whether it's domestic or international, how many times can you recall that within 12 hours he's come out publicly speaking about it? Not very many times. But this time he did. Maybe that's an indicator of the importance of all of this. Bashir Assad is apparently alive. Remember I said news reports were showing that his plane had been shot down potentially. But he showed up in Russia, and Russia has given him asylum, him and his family. And so he's there, and he's asked to send messages back to Syria for a peaceful transition of power. And right now it looks like Russia has kind of lost this one. They've lost, and I don't know. Al-Qaeda is now in charge of Syria, it looks like. This guy was one of the top terrorists that the United States had been seeking, and now he's in charge of Syria. It's funny how politics works that way. One moment you're in the crosshairs, and the next moment you're in charge. Turkish forces are supporting certain military units in Syrian military units in Syria, and the United States are supporting the opposing Syrian military units that are fighting right now in Syria. It's quite interesting. There's, I think, from what I understand, around 1,000 U.S. troops inside Syria that have very little support. So who knows the safety of them? I haven't heard. There's thousands of Christians that live in certain areas in Syria, and they are most definitely endangered. This new regime is much more radical and extreme. I mean, it's Al-Qaeda. You're looking at probably something at the level of Afghanistan, taking over Syria. And I think that this is something to be a little concerned with. I wouldn't say worried, but concerned, especially how fast it's happened and how things are moving so rapidly. And it's like the bad guys were kind of in charge already, but the worst guys are now in charge. And the United States and Israel is praising that. Sides are blurred, and I've talked about this in past videos. It's not so much that I care the specifics about these things, but I say this to use it as a really good example of how this new world order is forming. we are made to believe, if you pay attention to mainstream media and politics and stuff, that there are these defining lines between Russia and Turkey and the United States and China and Israel and Iran and Iraq and Europe, all these defining lines. And that may be true in some situations, but then those lines begin to blur. And you have forces that are fighting each other in this country are now partners with each other in this country at the same time. And this idea that there's defining forces on this planet that oppose each other, I think is not true. I think that it just shows of this globalist new world order, that they're all on the same team, where it boils down to. They're all fighting for the same general agenda. They just have to do it different ways around the world to kind of sucker the people into it, to believe that it's this, the good guys against the bad guys kind of thing. If you pay attention long enough, you realize that that's just not the case at all. I think this is significant. Syria has some significance in the Middle East. Its location, its resources, its historical and biblical connection, a lot. Israel is I mean, they're doing some major moving and shaking, along with the United States. A lot of stuff. A lot of it's happening, and it's happening really, really quickly. And it's happening so fast, I don't know that anyone has really figured out, at least the average Joe like you and I, has really been able to totally figure out what exactly is happening. The United States has toppled another regime, basically, and is put in a puppet that we will most likely later on have to fight with weapons that we gave them, right? We're going to fight against the weapons that we gave them. This has happened so many times, more times than I could sit here and remember. It's the game, right? Because it's all a game. You're not privy to the rules of the game. You don't get any benefits out of the game, not real benefits. I mean, they throw you a bone every once in a while to make you feel like that you're part of it. You get to vote for your ruler every once in a while. The person that rules over you, you get to vote for them every once in a while. And they make you feel like that you're part of it and that you have some control, but that's not really it. Trump said today or yesterday, was asked about the tariffs, and if these tariffs are actually going to cause an increase in tax burden, increase of cost onto the American people. And he said, I don't know, maybe, it's possible. I can't make any promises, which is a little different than what we had heard, that it was going to put a burden on a foreign government and cause them to buckle down. But now it's possible it's going to cause a financial burden on American people. It's maybe, who knows? It's all a game, folks. And if you are sitting around and hoping and waiting that some political party or political leader is going to just miraculously fix this, I think you're going to be really disappointed, because it's been many, many decades now of cycling through leaders, whether it's in the United States or in other parts of the world, where someone steps up and everyone thinks that's the guy that's going to fix it, and then it doesn't get fixed. It's just more of the same, more of it. And this is a reason why we have to focus on our own self-sufficiency, to where we are not dependent upon all of these systems, these big systems that are very interdependent upon the overall thing functioning, right? The government functioning, so the supply chains and the utility and the electrical grid and all this kind of stuff. It's all so intertwined that if any part of it fails, then it can all fail. And that's why we have to continually be self-sufficient in our personal lives and with our communities, the people around us. Maybe the little community that you live in cannot supply itself with gasoline or electricity or all the food that you need. But if you have a strong community that you're embedded in, that you're working with, that you're part of, you have your foot in the door. You're not just living there, but you're actively part of that community, and you have some say-so, or at least a voice in that community because of your volunteering, helping out, being volunteering on various boards and committees around your community. These kinds of things. You have your foot in the door, you have some say-so, and if more and more people do that, you can kind of strengthen that little small community that you live in. And even though they can't fix and take care of every problem, when big problems happen, those little close-knit communities that work together will do a lot better. You're going to do better than these communities that are so just, there's such distance between the people, no matter how close they live together. We've got to stop thinking and worrying about the big national, federal, global picture of how we've got to save the world or save the White House or save Washington, D.C. or the federal government or even your state government. Odds are those things are beyond saving. We can save ourselves, save our family, and save the people around us by simply just being more prepared. Learning how to do things in your lives that you can depend on yourself and not the system. Grow food. It's a big one. Have a source for water. Know how to fix things. Know how to help each other out. That kind of stuff is what's necessary, because you can't depend on the big ones. Can't depend on the national, the federal, the state, the global, or anything like that, because it's all connected and it's all falling apart. And it's all moving towards some new world order that's wanting to just control you more and more. And that's why we have to get our houses in order. You need to be preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually, because it's not getting any better, folks. Do not buy into that delusion. It's not getting any better. Prepare yourselves, folks. Thank you all for watching. Catch you in the next video.